Good day, class 11. The students who are taking political science, please keep this in mind. We are dealing with part A, the Indian Constitution. We move on to chapter 2, rights in the Indian Constitution. We have studied in the last chapter that a constitution is a document that sets limits on the powers of the government and ensures a democratic system in which all persons enjoy certain rights. In this chapter, we shall learn about the fundamental rights contained in the Indian Constitution. We find these fundamental rights in part 3 of the Constitution of India. We will also find the limits on these rights. In the last 50 to 60 years, the scope of rights has changed and in some respects expanded. After studying this chapter, we will come to know what the various fundamental rights listed in the Constitution of India are. Second, how these rights are protected. Third, the role of the judiciary in protecting and interpreting these rights. Fourth, the difference between fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. We will also come to learn the fundamental duties mentioned in the Indian Constitution. These fundamental duties are very important for every Indian citizen. And we, as proud Indian citizens, must carry out these fundamental duties. If the Constitution has given us fundamental rights, it has also mentioned the fundamental duties. The importance of rights. Let's take two examples to understand or to know the importance of rights. In 1982, the Asian Games were held in India. The construction work was given to various contractors, and in turn, they employed poor construction workers who came from different parts of the country. These workers were kept in poor working conditions and were paid less than the minimum wages decided by the government. A group of social scientists began studying their poor condition. They sent a petition to the Supreme Court, and this petition stated that employing a person to work for less than the minimum prescribed wage amounts to beggar or bonded labor, or you can say forced labor. This is a violation of the fundamental rights against exploitation. This plea was accepted by the court and it directed the government to ensure that thousands of workers get the prescribed wages for their work. The second example, Machal Lalung. He was a resident of Chuburi village of Morigram in Assam. He was arrested and charged with causing grievous injuries. However, he was found mentally unstable to stand trial. He was sent as an under trial to Lok Priya Gopinath Bardoloi Mental Hospital in Tejpur. He was sent there for treatment. He was successfully treated, and the doctors informed the jail authorities on two occasions, in 1967 and also in 1996, that Machal was now fit to undergo proper trial. But no one paid any attention, and Machal remained in judicial custody. He remained in judicial custody for 54 years. During which his case never came up for hearing. A team appointed by the National Human Rights Commission intervened after an inspection of under trials in the state. Then they found that Machal, after being cured and a fit certificate issued, was never under trial. His case had never come up for hearing. You see the second example. Machal's entire life was wasted because a proper trial against him never took place. Our Constitution gives every citizen the right to life and liberty. Do you know what it means? It means that every person has the right to live. Every person has the right to freedom. Further, it means that every citizen must also have the right to fair and speedy trial. Machal's case shows when rights granted by the Constitution are not available in practice. Excuse me. And this is actually the reality. Our Constitution has so many good words. So many good laws. Are they followed? The question mark is there. Even in the first example, we find a violation of rights provided in the Constitution. That is why it was challenged in court. Thus, workers could get what was due to them in the form of their rightful wages. So we see that constitutional guarantee of the rights against exploitation ensured justice to these workers. Now I hope you have understood through these two examples why rights are important. And fundamental rights are protected by the court. Let us go to the Bill of Rights. From the two examples, we come to know the importance of fundamental rights. Therefore, a democracy must ensure that individuals have certain rights, and the government will always recognize these rights. It is often found in most democracies to list the rights of the citizens in the Constitution. Such a list of rights mentioned and protected by the Constitution is called the Bill of Rights. What is this Bill of Rights? This bill prohibits the government from acting against the rights of the individuals and ensures a remedy in case there is a violation of these rights. What is the remedy? Since these fundamental rights are mentioned in the Constitution, a person whose fundamental rights are violated by the government or any other institution has the right to approach the court, either the High Court or the Supreme Court. Now, the question arises, from whom does the Constitution protect these rights? First, the rights of a person may be threatened by another person or private organization or even government. So he needs protection. In such situations, the person would turn to the government for protection. This makes it necessary for the government to protect the rights of the individuals. Second, the organs of government. When I talk about the organs of government, I mean the legislature, the executive, and judiciary, may violate the rights of the person. We come to know, or we come to the most important part of this chapter, the fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. Even during the national struggles, the leaders realized the importance of rights. They demanded that the British rulers should respect the rights of people. A Bill of Rights was demanded as far back as 1928. So, when India became independent, a constitution was being prepared. There were no options but to include and protect the rights of a person. Where would it be protected? It would be protected in the Constitution. Therefore, the Constitution listed rights that would be specially protected. The listed rights are therefore called fundamental rights. Why was the word fundamental used before these rights? The word fundamental suggests that these rights are so important that the Constitution has separately listed them and made special provisions for their protection. Now, what are the differences between fundamental rights and ordinary legal rights? Ordinary legal rights are protected and enforced by ordinary law. Fundamental rights are protected and guaranteed by the Constitution of the country. Secondly, ordinary rights may be changed by the legislature by ordinary process of lawmaking. But a fundamental right cannot be changed by amending the Constitution. No organ of government can act in a manner that violates them.